We are talking about the top 10 movies of 2023, and boy, is this a difficult list to make considering 2023 sucked.
Not completely, but just mostly.
It sucked. It was not a good year for movies, a television show, making money, finances in general, buying eggs or gas.
Well, we did have a strike for most of the year. So,
that's true.
So that impacted it. Although it makes me think that 2024 might be worse for Hollywood.
Right, because there was this
nothing being made.
It's not like they're making things up until the day they're done, and then they release them. No, like, that means that because of the strike, there's going to be less content over the next couple of years. All right, number 10 on this list. Remember, this is Shane's list. I will share my thoughts on this list. I would give you my 10 because this is one of the ones I don't agree with, but it could be because of my taste. But number 10 on this list is Talk to Me.
Nice.
Talk to me.
I got to tell you.
Talk to me.
I'll talk to you. This movie, everything on my top 10 list were movies that made me think for multiple days. Sometimes I would just wake up the next morning and I'd still be thinking about the movie. And a lot of the movies give me different thoughts or different feelings. This one specifically creeped me the fuck out. Like, this movie had me thinking for several days. It is a very complicated, strange. If you've not seen it yet, it was released as an indie picture. A24, no surprise, ended up getting in bed with it, as A24 is known for those super creepy, like Midsommar and different kind of scary movies and different movies they do. This is an Australian-made movie. It is directed by Danny Philippou and Michael Philippou, which I think we're going to see a lot more in the horror space. And essentially, what happens is these teenagers find this hand that was mummified hand, and when they grab it and they do like a series of things like light a candle, they can actually see and speak to the dead. And I got to tell you, this movie it's very well acted. It is extraordinarily interesting, and it will make you think at the end, like how does our life end? How do our lives end? And what is the meaning of what we do? And it's a pretty deep movie, man. It's really philosophical. So it made me think for a couple days, and that's why I put it at number 10.
And that's fair. I'm not into horror. I don't even think I've watched this movie, to be honest. I might not have.
You need to watch it. It'll make you think.
Sure. But in place of that number 10, I'm going to go ahead and put Sound of Freedom, because that movie made me think. And it made me consider the world. And the fact that it was a true story was sort of a mind blower. And so my number 10 will be Sound of Freedom. And if you guys haven't seen that yet, so check out Talk to Me if you haven't seen it. But if you haven't seen Sound of Freedom, and you guys know how I work. Like, I like action, adventure, big, I'm ADD kind of stuff. But this movie, I was dragged to by my wife, and it is worth the watch. It really is.
He's really a great actor too,
and
that's the thing.
And that's what it is. Yeah.
Jim Caviezel.
He's an amazing actor. He plays the main character, who's an actual person who's still alive, and it's an incredible film. So incredible.
I need to step in here. Matt Vader is talking shit about my Dolphins apparel. Matt, who do you like? Matt? Who's your team, buddy? Okay, that's all I want to say.
Isn't it the team that's in Vegas? It's like the Raiders.
If he's a Raider fan, then that would be very embarrassing for him. So I don't think so. Love you, bro.
I'll just step in here too. Something that Drew D said I thought was pretty funny. I mean, she's pretty, but she's not green.
That is Brian. That's tattooed on your back.
Yeah. Okay, next up, number 9 on our list is also another one I don't agree with.
Like you're slow. It's slowly dawning on you. Like what is on?
No, I most of this most of the top 5 stuff I agree with. Your bottom half I don't agree with. Anyways, number 9 on this list is Oppenheimer.
Get it right. Man. Okay, so listen, I know that you don't like Oppenheimer, but here let's be real here. At number 9, I think this is a very reasonable place for this movie. Despite the fact that some people might find it a little slow and boring, it does detail an incredibly important time of American history, and I think it does it very well. The acting is phenomenal. If Robert Downey Jr. doesn't get nominated for some sort of Oscar that doesn't really matter anymore, but would be cool for him to win, I think he should be nominated. I think that Christopher Nolan did an admirable job telling the story of Oppenheimer, and even though the explosion was not as good as we were hoping it would be, and the build up and the trailer was probably better, Overall, I think the story was really well told. It's very cinematic. You get an incredibly intense, long sex scene, which I know Brian enjoyed. So, Oppenheimer's number 9.
You're putting words in my mouth.
No, you said it when we reviewed it. No, you did.
No, yeah, it was good. I mean, it was a little excessive, to be honest. Which,
I mean, and you saying that is what made it kind of funny.
If I'm saying it's excessive, guys, it's excessive. Trust me. Yeah, listen, movie wasn't bad. It was, but for me, it was boring, and I felt like this overwhelming, desire to see this giant practical explosion, the biggest practical explosion ever. And they hyped it all up, and it was like, I must be totally tainted and desensitized by CGI explosions or whatever, because I was like, whatever, I guess.
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting things about this movie is missing the point. So, it is a story about Oppenheimer, but what's interesting is it's all boils down to like the human condition. So Robert Downey Jr.'s character, Louis Strauss, is, when Oppenheimer and oh my gosh, I just drew a blank. Albert Einstein. When Oppenheimer and Einstein talk for a brief moment next to the lake or outside, and Strauss like sees them talking, the entire future of Robert Oppenheimer is impacted by a misunderstanding because Louis Strauss thought that they were talking about him and talking shit about him. Like that element in the movie and how it how human beings can take one small thing, and if they have enough power, completely change the trajectory of someone's legacy is pretty incredible. And that's also in this movie if you missed it.
Okay. That's fair. Not a bad movie by any stretch, just not for me. Number 9 for me, and just a quick thing, was Gran Turismo. I watched it again with my kids, and I realized that it's a pretty damn good flick. And
it's a good movie. Yeah, it ended up number 12 for me.
And I realized by the end of this that it was also, based on a true story, and that this stuff really happened. And I thought it was pretty awesome. Good movie, fun, good family fun, and it's based on a true story, which is pretty cool. So that was number 9 on my list.
Yeah, that's a good movie. It could have been in the top 10. It just edged out.
Right, just barely edged out. Number 8 on our list is. And I agree with this one. Yay. It's called Ferrari.
Yes.
Ferrari is number 8 on the list.
Michael Mann's Ferrari. Michael Mann's a good movie maker, and Ferrari does not disappoint. I got to tell you, Adam Driver is phenomenal in this movie. Not only Adam Driver, but Penelope Cruz was amazing in this movie, playing his wife. And as much as you think when you go watch this movie, it's going to be a cool racing movie about cars, there is elements of it in it. And I even tweeted out that there's a brutal scene in this movie that is just like, wow, you don't see in films very often, that takes place. I won't ruin it for you if you want to see it, but it's absolutely brutal. But this is really a character piece. And Adam Driver as Enzo Ferrari really becomes the man. I cannot believe how they aged Adam Driver in this movie. The makeup is incredible. He just seems to become the man, and it's a really wonderful character piece. It tells an interesting story, and it's really a story about loss, about a specific time in Enzo Ferrari's past in 1957. Definitely worth a watch. I really, really enjoyed it, and it's something that made me think for multiple days. I was looking up videos. I wanted to see Adam Driver talking about himself in the role and kind of get a feeling for it. So it's a really good movie.
Yeah, I got nothing more to add to it. I thought it was a good movie too. Now, I didn't think it was worth me going to go watch it at super late in order
Midnight?
to. Yeah, I had to go watch it really in the middle of family time and just to try to make sure I watch it before today's show, and it was a little bit of a pain in the butt, but wasn't a bad movie. And I watched it alone because no one wants to go with me at that age at that
no
time.
One goes with me. Lately, everybody's like, the streaming has ruined my kids for movies. It used to be really exciting, be like, come on, let's go see a movie, kids. Now they're all like, yeah, I'm good. Kids don't want to go to the movies anymore, man.
Yeah.
I think the movies are in trouble in the future.
Yeah, my kids love the movies, but I have to hype it up forever. I have to emotionally manipulate them and hype the movie up in order to get them excited about it.
Yeah, and then when they get there and don't enjoy it, see, I made that mistake. So once you do it and fail a few times, they won't go anymore. Okay, so this next movie is number 7 on the list, and I definitely do not agree with. This is this is not anywhere near my top 10, and I have an appropriate replacement for it
after thinking it through. This is Shane, number 7, The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Yeah. This movie is not only is it enjoyable, if you're a fan of the Hunger Games books and movies, I think you'll find this prequel very interesting. It follows the story of Snow. And honestly, the reason why this movie is sitting at number 7 rests solely on the shoulders of Tom Blythe, who played Coriolanus Snow. Rachel Ziegler in it could have just destroyed the movie, and she's definitely not the most enjoyable part, but he really brings the movie up to a level where it's actually probably one of the, I wouldn't say one of the best performances, but it's the top 5 performance for a character, I think, this year in the movie. So yeah, I think it's worth a watch, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I guess I have just no interest in Hunger Games because I had no interest in this movie. The Hunger Games is one of these universes that a lot of people love, that I'm just like, it's just, there's too much to get into here with this. And
yeah, the world is what's interesting to me. So I want to know more about how this started. I want to know how far into the future it is. This is our future. This is our, this is a dystopian future of ours. And, it takes place in, I think Denver in Colorado is where this all happens. Current day, and it's basically the United States has been broken into 12 territories. It's just a very cool dystopian idea, and I think that the focus on Snow and these characters and the Hunger Games itself is very interesting. But there's such a bigger world. They could actually do a movie about how this all started, and I think it would actually be very interesting.
Okay, that's fair. Wasn't for me, but that's cool. Number 7, taking the place for me really quickly, is Dads, because I laughed a lot. And it was pretty much exactly how I feel about everything. So, I also realize I might have anger issues. I'm just something out there. But
Old Dads finished at number 16 for me, but it was still good. Good movie.
Okay, number 6, and this I am pretty much spot on with you here. We agree on this one, 100%. And so that's 2 out of 10 so far. Is Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3 specifically. The final movie in the franchise, I guess, is what you want to call it.
Yeah, the trilogy.
Yeah, it's a trilogy. So we had a really good time in this movie. My kids liked it. I liked it. Never thought I would care so much about a 3D cartoon raccoon, but, it was good.
Yeah.
And it was clearly the end of an era. I feel like they left it all out on the table for this movie. And we got to see Nathan Fillion. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it was definitely an opportunity to explore, and I guess James Gunn always knew that Rocket was going to be the focus of the third movie, and it does say a lot when a CGI character can actually capture you and make you care about it as much as any of the other characters, any of the live action characters, and I thought they do a really good job kind of going down the history and the sentimental thing, and I thought they closed it up. It's definitely not the best. It's the third best of the 3 movies for sure. But on a descending scale, of course, the first movie is the best and the second one a little less, and this one just a little less. So overall, I think, in a stronger year of movies, perhaps this would be lower, but I thought they did a good job closing it off.
Yeah, I completely agree. And when I forget about the story in a couple years, it's going to be nice to go watch all 3 of these back to back.
Absolutely. Yeah, that'll be that'll be almost like, when you sit down to watch, some Indiana Jones or Star Wars, this will be one of those trilogies where you're like, yeah, let's do all 3 at once.
Yeah. Okay, number 5, and this is remember, this is Shane's list. So for me, number 5 and number 4 are actually swapped. I swapped them, but I'll show you that when I get to number 4. So number 5 on this list is Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves.
It happened so long ago. It's hard to think of it as a 2023 movie, but it was. I think it's interesting that a movie that started out at the beginning of the year, I think it was last February, could remain so strong on the list, and it did for months. It sat at number 1 pretty much for half of the year, 1 or 2, I think, for half of the year.
Right.
And Chris Pine here did just a wonderful job. He plays, he obviously has that lovable rogue character. They do a good job with the storytelling. They tell it through his eyes. We get this backstory. We get so much of the Dungeons. You don't have to be a Dungeons and Dragons. And this is the cool thing about it. You don't have to have played Dungeons and Dragons to enjoy the movie, which I think is cool because my wife and kids all like this movie, which is which is pretty rare for this kind of movie.
Yeah, same. My wife liked it. My kids liked it. I liked it. It was an all around. We all really enjoyed it.
It's hard to accomplish that in one of these movies and still make Dungeons and Dragons players go, yes, and have all of the Easter eggs, all the cool little characters and creatures that you would find and items. They really did a good job with that. I think all the actors were really fantastic in the movie, and it just really, really, really told a great story. And honestly, we deserve another one of these. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but
we need more of these.
We should get another one of these.
You finally have a franchise that, yes, it's built on something, but it is also unique.
Yeah, exactly. You're so right. I mean, guess what, guys? Like Monopoly, there's going to be a movie made about the Monopoly board game.
Jesus.
And it's like, that's one thing. But to take Dungeons and Dragons, which has so much, they haven't done a great Dungeons and Dragons movie. And to be able to say, hey, I would like to see 2 more of these movies. That's a rare thing for us in this day and age.
Yeah, and so I've been getting into D&D lately because of Baldur's Gate and a couple other things. And it's really such a rich personal franchise. That's the only way I can say it. It's personal. Like a lot of it's personal. A lot of the tropes are the same. They're generalized, but they're really rich and awesome. This movie had a lot of that. And going back and watch it, you can like catch all these little Easter eggs and stuff where it's like specifically like that was put in the movie for the D&D fan in your life, right? Mm-hmm. And all those things weren't just throwaway member berries for D&D fans. They were utilizing the story in a way that made people that had no idea what they were also interested in it, also had a good time with it. Like, you didn't have to be a D&D fan to like this movie, but this movie would make you a D&D fan.
Right, and they chose characters that were believable. Like, you see Chris Pine being the charming thief, right? And then you see, like, you couldn't have just picked any woman to play like the brute, to play the barbarian or the fighter. And Michelle Rodriguez is like perfect for that. You had to find, if they would have put somebody else in there, that didn't have like the physical characteristics, it wouldn't have worked.
It's like Brie Larson or something.
Yeah, like put Brie Larson in as Holga, right? And they would have. A lot of people would have done that. So, huge shout out to the filmmakers who found the right people for the right roles to help make it more believable.
Yeah, and you know what, guys? Hey, Hollywood, you have a movie with a diverse, inclusive cast.
Yeah,
and we buy it. Every one of us buys every one of these characters. So what's stopping you? Oh, I know what's stopping you. Making a Monopoly movie.
And here's the thing. There's a redheaded character. Brian, there's a redhead in this movie.
Oh my God, there's a redhead in the movie. That's why they won't make it anymore.
No, what I'm saying is like, that just tells you, like, for whatever reason, the evil that's spawning through Hollywood, that's removing all the redheads. We put a redhead in a movie, it usually turns out pretty well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, maybe that the evil smoke had not touched this this film. I don't know. It was a good movie. I'm looking forward to more. Hopefully, we get it. I did look up news on it, and there is no news on it. So
yeah,
might not happen. So.
Strike. A lot of things are going to take time to roll out since the strike. They're finding out after the strike too. A lot of people are just not. A lot of the writers did not work during the strike. So usually through a strike, there's a bunch of content that people have ready. Let's get going. But we're finding out that a lot of people didn't do any work. So there weren't a bunch of stories. So they're it's going to be a while before we start to fill the slots for new movies.
All right, number 4. And remember, this should be, for my list, would be number 5, and D&D would be number 4. But for Shane's list, number 4 is Spiderman Into the Spiderverse.
It hung in there. It was my number 1 movie for most of the year, all the way through November, actually. Yeah, all the way through November, this was my number 1 movie. We've talked about it multiple times, so we won't go into it too much. But I'm not a huge animation guy, and that says a lot that an animated movie was my number 1. I just think that the style is incredible. I think that the story is awesome. The editing is incredible. And, I know it's going to take them probably 3 years to make the next one. But and we're left at a cliffhanger. But there's just something about this style and this story that is fascinating. And I think when the trilogy is finished, it's going to be one of those great superhero trilogies, probably of all time.
Yeah, if they ever finish it.
They will. They will.
Yeah, if they finish it. This is definitely a cool. Miles Morales is a cool character. I like him a lot. I like the different Spider-Man. I like the different places they went exploring the Spiderverse. I still don't like multiverse stuff.
No, but when you do a story about the multiverse, actually incorporating the multiverse, then it's okay. Like, I get what you're saying, but this is actually about the multiverse.
Right.
Whereas people are using the multiverse as a vehicle in most of their franchises. This one actually explores the Spider-Verse. And you got to admit, there's tons of cool spider characters.
There is.
You know,
There's tons
that
of cool.
makes it very fun.
You're like the Punjabi, I think it's called. Spider-Man is pretty rad. A lot of the spider people are cool. And Miles Morales he's different than Peter Parker's Spider-Man. It's like it's different. So I don't feel like this is a replacement for Spider-Man. I feel like this is a new character. Not new to comic book fans, but new to movie fans. And they can exist in the same place. Like, it's not replacing a character that I already love. It's adding a new character that I like.
Yeah, and I think it gave us a chance to breathe with Spider-Man. Because the Tom Holland movies are okay, but they just keep popping them out, and you're just like, okay. And this kind of gives you like a shift of pace, shift of gear. And can you imagine maybe like a live action Miles Morales with Tom Holland? That might be kind of fun.
Yeah, that would be cool. And maybe we get our boy Donald Glover.
Well, Donald Glover was in the movie.
Yeah, he was in the movie as him, like he was the only live action character.
Right.
All right. The next up, number 3 on Shane's list, and I can't even comment on this. This is all you, bro. And I trust your judgment, so I'm not even going to try to replace this one.
Oh, thanks, man.
I didn't have a chance to see it, although I did. You did show me how big this person is. Zac Efron has gotten. It's called the Iron Claw, and Zac Efron looks like he is just on every possible protein shake you can buy.
Yeah. Oh man, I got to tell you, Iron Claw was not a movie that I was huge on. I know some of the people who watch us probably like wrestling. I watched wrestling in the 80s, and that was pretty much it. After like WrestleMania 1 and 2 or whatever, that was it. I was done with wrestling. And just because I grew up and I knew it wasn't real, and I just didn't enjoy the fake stuff. So I was not really intrigued in watching this movie. But the cool thing is I did know who the Von Erichs were because I did watch wrestling in the early 80s. And so that piqued my interest. And when I found out, when I saw the trailer with Zac Efron in it, and he looked like the Incredible Hulk, I was like, what in the hell is going on here?
He did. He looked like, what is his name? Oh my God. The actual original Incredible Hulk. But the guy.
Oh, Lou Ferrigno.
He looks like Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah. Efron is in like bodybuilding shape. Like he could do a show. Like he could go out on stage and compete 100% with his body. And if you look at him in interviews now that the movie's over, he looks shriveled and back to his normal self.
Does he really?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how he was already kind of fit.
Well,
like,
steroids.
You can tell there's movies that you keep saying steroids, but that's not true. So there's no proof, and you can't just shoot it out there.
I don't know if Zac Efron took steroids for this movie.
But
there are also legal steroids you can take to bulk up quickly. No. Yeah, there are. There's animal. There's steroids that a doctor can prescribe you that will give you this bulk.
No, not. There's no. Yeah. Okay. So you can take steroids, but nobody is. It's completely frowned upon in all shapes and forms. And anybody in the bodybuilding industry who's now doing steroids, it's all. Anyways, that's not the goal. And you just don't want to put that paint on onto somebody. It's a negative connotation.
I'm looking at his face, and he has to be taking something to bulk up like this. This is not like just him at the gym just pounding it out for 6 years.
Well, there were interviews that with other people who were spending time with him that said the dude was consuming like 5,000 calories a day. He was working. He was like just feeding it all day, working it all day, just like The Rock does. This was his life to put this muscle on. Because if you look at the Von Erichs, they were built, man. They were. And especially his character. But more importantly, above and beyond the body transformation is Zac Efron emotionally handles the character in a way we've never seen with him in a role. He takes it to a very personal level. He really captures the soul of who the character is. This movie is one of those movies that if you're depressed, you do not want to go watch it. It is a movie where there is so much tragedy in this movie. They left out one of the brothers who killed himself because there was already just too much tragedy in the movie.
Oh God!
Like they left out one. There's so much tragedy in this movie, and it is a heartbreaking story, a true story, and mostly there's some things about it I think that were changed up. But it's one of the best acting performances of the year. I would put him up very close up against Killers of the Flower Moon with why am I drawing a blank?
Leonardo
DiCaprio. I'd put it up. I put it close, very close. There's some incredible acting performances in a pretty mediocre year of movies, I would say, and his is one of them.
I like Jeremy Allen White too. He was great in Shameless and Bear or whatever that show was called. So I look forward to watching this movie, but I think I'm gonna watch it on streaming. I'm not gonna go to the theater to watch it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to see it in the theater at all, I think, to get it. But there is a lot of, as you're watching it, there's a lot of like gut clenching moments where you're like just trying to get through. I mean, it's just so heartbreaking. If you have any heart and soul whatsoever, any empathy for other human beings, this is a hard movie to watch. Holt McCallany, who played the father, Fritz, just like he just becomes that dude. Like there's some good stuff. The other brothers are just but Zac Efron and Holt McCallany, they need to be in the Academy Awards this year.
Okay.
100%.
That's fair. Okay, next up on the list, number 2 on Shane's list. This is not even close to where my list falls, at least for this one, and it is Wonka.
Yes.
Wonka is number 2 on Shane's list, and I'll give you my number 2 after this. Go ahead, Shane.
Well, let me just tell you, one of the reasons why Wonka's number 2 on the list is I'm still waking up in the morning and the songs are in my head from the movie. I'm still find myself humming them as I go around.
Pure imagination.
It's possible that Wonka, for me, and this is why it's a Shane's best movies of 2023, it is still a great movie. If you don't have any connection to the 1971 movie, you may not like it as much. But I have a deep connection to the 1971 movie. It means a lot to me, meant a lot to me as a kid. And I thought that this prequel just awesomely captured that movie, and I was so pleased because over all the time of covering, Willy Wonka and Charlie, I really hated Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I mean, I cannot tell you how much I hated Johnny Depp and what they did with the character in that role. And so to see them come back, especially knowing how the family felt about it and how unpopular it would be to attach this movie to the 1971 movie, it was extraordinarily unpopular decision. And to see it just pay off in spades, the acting in the movie is hilarious. It's very comedic. It's very, the songs are very memorable. I've got my kids who never like what I like. They're like downloading all the songs and listening to them. I mean, it's just really, really cool. I thought, the Oompa Loompa was honorable. The fact that they made him attached to the original Oompa Loompa was so fantastic. Just a really great movie. And Timothée Chalamet, I thought he did a great job. And I know you don't like him, but he really, really inspired me. And I think there's a movie between this movie and the 1971 movie that shows how much the character has changed. And I really, really hope that they make that one.
Yeah, there definitely needs to be another movie between these two movies. Because if it just goes from this movie to, either Depp or the original movie, it doesn't work. I was promised the building of the factory, and we didn't get that. So
I don't know if anyone promised you that. You keep saying that, but I'm not sure why you were promised that. That's
literally what the entire write-up said it was going to be. How Willy Wonka started his chocolate factory. How Willy it was in the trailer. Anyways, I'm not going to go back.
Well, it says that the with dreams of opening a shop in a city renowned for its chocolate, a young and poor Willy Wonka discovers that the industry is run by a cartel of greedy chocolatiers. Nowhere does it say that's what
that's the after the movie came out. That's the description after the movie came out. When the trailer first dropped, it was all about how Willy Wonka started his chocolate empire.
I think we have to disagree. I watched the same trailers you did. I think you got misinformation there.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Anyways, the movie wasn't bad. It just didn't do it for me. That's just that simple.
I think that's fair. I don't think it will do it for everybody. I think you have to have a connection. But for me, it was definitely the second best movie of the year.
Right. All right. So for me, number 2, and Shane can't hear this, but if you can, you'll recognize it. For me, number 2 was Super Mario Brothers. I had a blast in this movie. Shane didn't like it as much as I did.
I think it's a fine movie. At number, I don't know where I put it. At number 34
Yeah, that's not
of the year.
It's not remotely
just-
fair.
Meh.
I had a
those
great time.
movies,
Me and my kids were in the theater. We were cheering. We were laughing. We were having a good time. You know, I felt a little emotional when the brother at the end tried to save his bro with the manhole cover. Great movie. Great fun movie. And I was thoroughly entertained. And you know what? I expected so little from this movie. I expected so little, and I went in there and I walked out feeling like, what a fun movie this was.
There was nothing wrong with it, for sure. Like, there was nothing that I would say, like, wow, they really messed up. But I just think that they could have, you know, for a one-off movie, you know, it's the first time in all this time. I just think that going back to the way it was reviewed, I think that there could have been, you know, more on the table, more that they were trying to accomplish. I felt like they were just taking us through a video game as opposed to really telling a great story. So,
you know, to each their own. Some people like Wonka. Some like one of Mario Brothers. It's okay. It's all right.
It's true. I love Mario Brothers. Hey, I was playing Mario Brothers when I was a kid before you knew what it was. So when it first came out, so trust me,
true.
I loved Mario Brothers.
That's true.
And
yeah, listen, I just liked the movie a lot, and this year didn't offer a lot for me. A lot of disappointment in movies, and that one did not disappoint. So it's number 2 on my list.
Fair enough.
Number 1 on Shane's list, and I actually labored over this one a little bit because I was trying to figure out if I liked this more than my original number 1 or less. And it was very difficult for me, and it's sort of a toss-up. But number 1 on Shane's list is Godzilla -1.
There is nothing more shocking than knowing that this is number 1 on the list. For you know, I was not one of those, you know, super Godzilla fans at all. I watched him as a kid growing up because really there was nothing else on television, and it was, you know, because I'm old and there wasn't a lot of stuff for kids. So I did watch some of the black and whites. I did watch the American-made Godzilla movies that came out, you know, since the 1990s until today. And, you know, it's never really been, they've been okay. Something happened when Godzilla -1 came out. And I felt like I was transported back to my childhood with those movies, but yet it finally wasn't like a joke. You know, it wasn't ridiculous. It was a serious movie. Godzilla was terrifying. The characters, of which I don't know any of these actors. I mean, can you imagine my number 1 movie is a bunch of actors not speaking English, but yet I could feel their pain, sorrow, terror, hope, everything coming off the screen in every moment. Godzilla is incredible, and it's being made by the Godzilla filmmakers in Japan, which is they just really killed it, man. It's such a wonderful movie. The proper nuclear explosion. Oppenheimer's jealous. What else can I say?
I'm glad you liked it. I gotta tell you, I fully expected to dislike this movie, and I did not. I did like it. I don't like subtitles, and I have other criticisms of it that is particular to me. It was not number 1 on my list by far, but it was pleasantly surprising. Excuse me, I'm like coughing. It was pleasantly surprising how nice, how entertaining and fun this movie was, and how terrifying Godzilla was. But that wasn't enough it wasn't enough for me. I actually probably, like, on a primal level, enjoyed Godzilla versus Kong more than I did this movie.
That's a shame. I can get why you might enjoy that. I would like to address Matt Vader's comment here. I'll just let you know, I saw an early showing of this movie, and I said it was the best movie of the year before everybody else was saying it, Matt. So not bandwagon movie fans, buddy. Sorry.
Yeah, but I did enjoy it, and I fully expected not to. I was actually sort of dragged into it because we were going to go watch it, and I was like, here we go. And it was in subtitles, but I did enjoy it. For me, my number 1 is no one else's number 1. No one else is going to like this movie. There isn't a single person
Fast X
in our chat on YouTube that I know of in our community that's going to say this was the number 1 movie of the year. But I'm going to tell you, for me, and I've seen it several times now, me and my kids have seen it, despite its problems, and there were a ton, despite the problems with this movie, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and it did it for me this year. And I know everyone hates it,
man.
I know everyone hates it, but I don't give a crap because I loved it.
Give me a fucking break.
Yep.
Really?
Yep. I loved this movie.
Jesus Christ.
In fact, I gotta tell you, I wish this was
you
the last
wanted
movie.
this movie to be the best movie so bad.
I wish this movie was the last movie of the DC franchise and not Aquaman. Even though Aquaman might have been might have had like better,
So you wanted the last thing for us to see is Aquaman face down in a gutter? Like that would have been like
No, you're right. That's like I said, there's some bad ideas in this movie. They shouldn't even have had post-credit scenes. The last scene shouldn't have been Aquaman face down in the gutter. That was so stupid. There were things in here that was stupid. The graphics were really bad, especially in like the speed tunnel, whatever, the Speed Force. But the way they did the Speed Force outside the graphics was super rad. The story of young Barry and original Barry, and how young Barry turns, like his attempt to save everyone over and over and over again is what makes him into the Black Flash or whatever it was super rad. I actually liked Supergirl a lot. I thought she was great. I loved Michael Keaton's return. Loved it. I was over the moon being remember my introduction to superhero movies was Michael Keaton's Batman. So like that was my first superhero. Getting to see him again in all his glory was awesome. The way he's like fighting and stuff, it was so Michael Keaton. This movie did it for me in so many. Despite all the problems, and there are plenty, and Ezra Miller is a goddamn asshole. He's a predator. He belongs in jail. But I still enjoyed this movie to death. All the references to Back to the Future, the things they changed, everything about this movie worked for me.
Forgive him, friends. He is a Flash stan. Just forgive him.
Yeah, I'm a Flash stan. The CGI was bad. It was. There was parts that were horrible.
The running was so.
The running
good.
was sort of to this day. I said it.
Swim running.
I said it 6 years ago. I don't know why Ezra Miller runs like that. It looks like he's like figure skating or something. It's weird. But whatever. I can ignore that stuff and enjoy the story. And I thought the story was great. And I liked Supergirl a lot. I liked Michael Keaton's Batman a lot. I love the dynamic between the two Flashes. And, this should have been the last of the DC movies, sans that stupid cutscene of Aquaman on his face. And I'll say it. I don't care if everyone's mad at me. Whatever. I was looking forward to this movie. When I got to see it, I was stoked. I watched it twice. I was stoked the whole time. And everyone kept making fun of it. And I was like, you know what? I don't give a crap. I had a good time in this movie.
Good for you, bro.
And I bought the Steelbook and then sold it when I ran out of money. I will rebuy it next year. This was a good movie as far as I'm concerned. And you know what? And maybe it's because this year had such bad movies. I had a good time. And I wish there was a different Flash. And I wish there were some decisions that they didn't make that they made. And I wish the CGI was better. All that's true. But I still had a good time. And I still... Okay. And this is the first and only Flash movie we're probably ever going to see. Just so you know. Yeah, there won't be another Flash movie. There might
be. No, there could be.
Maybe in like 25 years or something. Right.
Yeah. Well, let's just go with what Matt Vader says here. I'm glad opinions are subjective. And that's the truth of the matter is like, look, anybody's list is their list, and what you enjoy is what you enjoy, and nobody can take that away from you, even if it is a dumb opinion based on me. So
sure.
And I love you, and so don't worry about it, dude. If you want The Flash to be the #1 movie of 2023, you die on that hill.